almost true. Next up is just continuing on that theme, and as I said, it's not entirely all chronological. The next gentleman, Ron Joseph, RJ, has so many different stations that he's touched and ways that he's touched the nation in broadcasting. But we'd like to talk a little bit about your experiences with PHL 17. RJ, why don't you come up, please?
Thank you, Steve, and thank you. I'm going to speak loud for those of you who could not hear other people that spoke today. I would be really irresponsible if I did not thank the man who started me in broadcasting as a 7-year-old kid. His name was Phil Sheridan. He had a show on WFIL, Rise and Shine. He brought me over to Channel 10, and we did a wonderful show called, it was a kids show, and it was entitled Radio Rangers. And then from there, I was very lucky to get a spot with the Ghostwriter on Channel 10. Radio Rangers was on 1210 WCAU. Then they brought me over from the Ghostwriter show to Action in the Afternoon. It was a show that was done live, if it was rain, sleet, or snow, behind the Channel 10 building. We would do the show live. It was a cowboy show, a facade that was built behind the Channel 10 building that is empty today. We don't know if they're going to throw it down. I know it's under contract to be sold, or they're going to put a skyscraper there. Anyway, to make a long story short, God bless Phil Sheridan. There's other people that have helped me. Dick Clark gets all my, publicity, but there were other people before Dick Clark. Phil Sheridan was one, and then of course, Tony Mamarella, who brought me to Dick Clark and ABC TV at 46th and Market. But the guy that brought me to Channel 17 was Harry Harris. He wrote an article in the Inquirer. He had a television column, if you remember the great Harry Harris in the Philadelphia Inquirer. And telling this little young kid, there's going to be a station opening up. Ronnie, why don't you go up to 1230 Mermaid Lane? First of all, I didn't even know where Mermaid Lane was. And he gave me directions, and he said, go up there and see Dr. Crawford. I was friends with John Facenda, and he told me not to go. John was a wonderful friend, a mentor, and I even love him till this day. We put up a wonderful sign at Monument Avenue, which still stands across from WCAU, John Facenda Way. And his son thanked me for putting it up about 9 years ago. It got thrown down, and I got the city fathers of Montgomery County to put it back up. It still stands there at Monument Avenue and the city line. God bless John Facenda. I ate dinner with him. That's it. The funny thing about broadcasting, while we were putting the sign up, young people were coming out that worked at Channel 10. They didn't even know who John Facenda was. That's how it goes to show you an icon can be forgotten. And you here all remember the great John Facenda. He did commercials for Lucille Ball. He smoked cigarettes. It was Philip Morris. He did the commercial, national commercial. He was the voice of the NFL. This man was a true icon of Philadelphia. How could he ever be forgotten? And as long as his sign is there at Monument Avenue, thanks to the wonderful people in Lower Murray allowing me to put the sign up. God bless John Facenda. There were so many other people. Harry Harris brought me to Channel 17. Now here was a station that, to get on television, we didn't have YouTube like some kids have today to do a show and become a star. They have 5 million hits, We didn't know how to get on television. So when a new station was opening up, this was my opportunity of a lifetime to do a show. And they wouldn't take a dance show because they were religious. Dr. Percy B. Crawford, A Wonderful Family, which Lenny Stevens got the station for $200,000 because they sold it for next to nothing. It was a wonderful little station that we started doing things. I would run camera, I would do my own show, I would direct in the control room. They allowed me to do everything. I was young, but it was no union, and there was nobody to complain. The station was wonderful, but in 60 to 62, it had no viewers. So we had to go out and hustle, UHF adapters, which you're looking at me. Well, these are like the digital stuff today you have. They got you the two new channels, 35 and 17. We didn't make a fortune out of it, we just got more listeners. Also, my show was rebroadcast on 1,000 water in Chester, Pennsylvania, because my show was called Spotlight on America, where we talked about young people's careers. And I had stars there that promoted the time slot, because nobody knew what Channel 17 was. I had High Lit, Joe Niagara on the show, and of course, Dick Clark. They promoted me on this little unknown station that became a giant, and it's an icon today. As you know, Channel 17 is a big, big part of the Philadelphia community, and still will remain forever. To make a real long story short, where would I have been without Channel 17? You know where I would have been? Nowhere. There was no YouTube. There was no way to produce shows. Thank you. This is not right. I'll get it. Channel 17 allowed me to produce my own shows, get my own sponsors, and schlep the 2-inch tapes across the USA. In the plane, in my car, I was on 20 stations at one time, all major markets that carried a dance show, which I really wanted to do. As you read in my biography or YouTube, you see that I was the only kid from that crazy dance show, American Bandstand, that got a show of his own, like Dick Clark. So I was very, very fortunate because of Channel 17, the first UHF commercial station in the city of Philadelphia. Of course, there was 35, but it was owned by, the city schools, and they just had instructional programming. We were a real station, and it was commercially. We had no budget whatsoever. Bubblegum, I think that was our big thing, was bubblegum. And soda, Mott's Root Beer, my first sponsor. Byerly's Beverages, all these big sponsors. But we had a wonderful time. It taught me the business. It was my Temple University. It was my Villanova. It was wonderful. Channel 17 taught me how to sell to other UHF stations that were coming on in different markets across the country. I have a wonderful booklet that captures some of the moments of our TV show that was syndicated by myself, and of course, here at Broadcast Pioneers, we did it before, and we have some nice things. There's the coverage map of the original Channel 17. No one has that, but that was at 1230 Mermaid Lane in Chestnut Hill. To get young people up there, we had to go in a car key. To get guests, they would meet me at the Marriott, believe it or not, and follow my car up to 1230 Mermaid Lane. You had to ride, turn, Wissahickon Drive, would lose half the people coming up. And it was live television. If we all didn't arrive at the same time, there was no show. Well, not everybody's here yet. We'll be getting underway soon. But anyway, it was a joy. Channel 17 was not a education. It was a learning ground for a young kid that loved television, and I still love it today. And even though I'm on reruns around the country on YouTube and some old stations that are running me in San Francisco and Hollywood, I'm grateful for WPCA. That was our call letter, the Percy Crawford Association, owned by the Young People's Church of the Year. As I alluded to, John Facenda gave me advice not to go there, because he said, you're Catholic, they're not going to take you wrong. I said, John, I know you are a devout Catholic. I used to go to church with him at St. Bernadette's in Drexel Hill every Sunday, and he'd raise hell with me. When are you going to go on a regular station? I said, when you get me on a regular station. But anyway, I love Channel 17. No matter what, that was one time I did not take John Facenda's advice. That man, a voice of God. I always spoke to him like that. Tried to. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I did not bore you. But everything I said, I could not make up, and I'd swear on a stack of Bibles, it happened just the way I said. And when you're telling the truth, I once told that to my dear wife's mother. She says, you don't have to always tell the truth. Dick Clark said I was too honest to a fault. Well, I'd rather be honest to a fault. Thank you again for listening.